I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Anthony Maggio. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Doing pretty well. I had a pretty good day today, so it's a lot of fun getting to spend some time with my family and be at home, enjoying a Sunday at home today. So that was pretty great.
That's wonderful to hear. Anthony, please do tell us, what part of the world are you in right now?
I live in the Twin Cities, just outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Burnsville, Minnesota is the name of the town I'm from.
Oh, that's great. Well, I live on the Twin Island of Trinidad and Tobago. That's what we call it as well, right? So it's good to know that we both have twins, right?
There you go.
Well, Anthony, please do tell me, which of your talents is responsible for us meeting?
Well, I got to imagine it's from the podcast I do. I've been working with ESPN 1500 here in the Twin Cities now for about 6 years, and I'm one of the co-hosts of their fantasy football podcast.
Yeah,
the Fantasy Football Party is what it's called.
Yeah, the Fantasy Football Party podcast, and you co-host there, right, as well, right?
That's correct. Yes, John Tuvey and Bo Mitchell are my two co-hosts. I've been this is John's second year on the show, and Bo's third. And prior to that, I was on the air, did an actual Sunday morning radio show for that station as well.
Oh, really? What was that show about?
Same thing. It was a fantasy football show, just happened to be on Sunday mornings, so it was closer to the kickoff of the games. So the setup of the show was significantly different, but from a topic standpoint, it still had to do with fantasy football.
All right. For those that don't know what fantasy football is, how about you let them know?
Yeah. So basically, you can play the classic way to play fantasy football is to be in a league with friends. Usually it'd be about 10 teams or 12 teams in a league. And at the beginning of each National Football League season, you would select players from all the teams in the league. And every week you set a lineup of those players you've selected, and you score points based on how those players do in their games. So the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, kickers, and defenses. Those are the players that you use, and the scores are based on how many yards they get or how many catches they get, or obviously scoring touchdowns is a big help as well. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to keep in touch with friends, and it's a great way to sort of scratch a competitive itch. Even if you can't be out on the field playing, you can still have some fun with football.
Yeah, which is super cool. Hey, how are you for the competitive? Like, what is your take on it? Is it that you're a competitive guy, or do you believe everyone should have medals?
Well, I am a competitive guy for sure. I don't necessarily believe in the participation trophy, at least at my age anyway. For my little ones, I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. For them, if I can get them to participate in something I wanted them to, I think actually they and I deserve a medal at that point in some instances. So but it's a lot of fun. No, I've been playing fantasy football since 1999, so 18 years now, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow. So who did you learn the skill from? The skill of not just being the person that's playing the game, but the person who is now commentating on the game?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, I'm fairly competent behind a microphone just because of my schooling. I went to the University of Minnesota for broadcast journalism, so I've been comfortable with recording. And even as a little kid, I've always loved recording. I used to pretend I'd be watching games. I'd use my little basketball cards or baseball cards, and I'd hit record on my tape recorder, and I would imagine a game happening and that I was the play-by-play announcer. So I've been doing that for many, many years. And that's just made me basically, comfortable at talking about any topic really, but certainly the ones that I'm passionate about or interested in, like fantasy football. And I actually worked full time for 2 years at a company called Fanball, which the sole purpose of that company was to analyze fantasy sports. So writing about, doing podcasts. So I did podcasts back from 2006 to 2008 for Fanball. So I've had a lot of experience both with broadcasting and with fantasy sports.
Yeah, you're definitely the veteran podcaster, right? Definitely,
That's right.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, love that. Congratulations on that, my friend. Please do tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
Oh boy, I would say I'll go a little big here. I'll kind of take it out of the fantasy football realm for a minute, but I've always tried to make decisions that are going to make life easier for future me, not necessarily current me. So this skews towards financial decisions, certainly in life, but I mean it applies both personally and professionally. And talking about doing a fantasy football show, I know that it's something that it's very time consuming because not only am I doing the show, but I have to prepare for the show, and it's a full season worth of preparation to do that. But I know that down the road, I'm going to be happier that I did it versus not. So it's one of those things. I make things maybe a little more difficult on myself in the present, but always with an eye towards making things better, easier, making me happier in the future.
Yeah, tell me, how does it make you feel being that person who's doing that consistently?
Well, it helps with self-confidence, really. I mean, I can feel confident in that I have a consistent method, so that in the future, I mean, I never know what's going to happen, tomorrow, next week, next year. It gives me something to fall back on, really, to frame up big decisions that I have in my life. I mean, they don't even have to be big decisions, just small decisions, but when they can be something that has some kind of impact or could have an impact long term, it just really provides me a nice foundation in which I can make my decisions.
Sounds like a life where you're living in faith, right? For
Yeah.
someone out there, suggest to them why they should even consider doing the same. Really exchanging immediate gratification for something that will happen down the road.
Yeah, I mean it's not an easy thing to do, really. Certainly I've struggled with it in my life in the past. Definitely, I've become better and better at it as I've gotten older. But it's certainly something that I hope I'll be able to instill in my children. And when I do work either back at the university where I went to school as a mentor, or just with younger coworkers, it's something that I'm always hoping is a leave behind, something I can instill in others.
Amazing audience. We are live with Anthony Maggio. He is the podcast co-host as well, right, of Fantasy Football Party Podcast. Do check that out if that is your kettle of fish. Anthony, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Anthony, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Well, my earliest childhood memory is actually breakdancing at McDonald's during my 5th birthday party there with my friends, playing the Michael Jackson cassette tape and just getting down right there in the McDonald's.
I love
Not
it.
a care in the world.
So you're 5 years old, you're doing the break dance. Why do you think this memory is so clear?
Well, this one's probably cheating a little bit, but we do have video evidence of it. My parents took video back then of that party, so I think that helped. Having that, being able to look back on that, it certainly helped me remember it pretty clearly.
Yeah. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
It's a tough call, but actually, it was The Ditty by Paperboy. I still listen to that song today. So I actually had to spend some time thinking about that one. I saw the questions beforehand, and I was looking at the charts from back then, and The Ditty popped out as the one that I had to pick.
Love it. Well, my friend, we have now arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to go pretty quickly here. Anthony, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
My children, if they're interested in my skills, but really I just hope to, help nurture whatever skills they have or interests they have. And I also go back to the University of Minnesota, and I help kids there, college kids there, anyone who's interested in learning some of my skills. I'm happy to pass them along to.
Are you married?
I am, yes. I'm married. I've been married to my wife now for a little over 7 years, and we have 2 beautiful children.
Yeah, you said that. A 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, right? Life is a party there, isn't it?
Oh man, it is some kind of party.
So okay, you have 2 children. Do you believe in God?
Though I was raised Catholic. I've been away from the church, and I actually would say I believe in maybe some kind of higher being, and I certainly still have a lot of similar traits in terms of, having feelings and doing things the way that Christians and Catholics might go about their day-to-day life. But I would say at this point, no, I would have to say I don't believe in God.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I do, yes, but I have a very wide circle of friends as well. I have some very good friends and people that I talk to very regularly, but I've lived in many places in my life and have cast a pretty wide net, so I'm lucky to have so many people I would call friends.
What about TV? Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
I wish I had that kind of time, but no, I don't.
What about 3 hours a week?
Oh, yeah, I think I get in 3 hours a week for sure. Maybe even on football alone by the end of the week preparing for my show.
And what about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
It is definitely more. When I'm not doing football, my full-time job is actually at an advertising agency where I'm a senior copywriter. So I probably spend a good 9 to 10 hours a day in front of a screen.
Wow. Well, Anthony, after having 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, I had to get butt surgery. I'm joking. No, I wrote a book it's a workbook, created a workbook, right? And the name of it is yours. It stands for your own unique real self. As you dig deeper and you get to know yourself better, you uncover your own unique real statement, your mission, if you would. If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, something that represents Anthony Maggio, what would you say that is?
I think it boils down to make choices now that make a better you later.
Love it. Anthony, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I would just say, never be nervous or scared about being yourself. Pursue what it is to make you happy and be confident in it.
Love it. Hey, I can't say love it enough. Anthony, hey, this was a great pleasure one more time. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, Angel. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.